The Parker Solar Probe has discovered the source of fast solar winds. NASA's Parker Solar Probe has come closer to the Sun than any spacecraft before. This allowed her to identify regions on the star's surface responsible for emitting high-energy particles that move much faster than the rest of the solar wind. The discovery could improve our predictions of solar activity, giving satellite and power grid operators time to take protective measures. The Parker Solar Probe flew close enough to the Sun to detect the delicate structure of the solar wind. It also identified areas on the Sun's surface where it is generated, revealing details that would go unnoticed at further distances as the solar wind leaves the solar corona as a uniform blast of charged particles. In a publication in the journal Nature, a team of scientists led by Stuart D. Bale from the University of California at Berkeley and James Drake from the University of Maryland College Park reported that the probe detected streams of high-energy particles in the so-called coronal holes, i.e. darker, relatively cooler areas in the solar corona, which suggests that these are the regions where the so-called fast solar wind. The Parker Solar Probe was launched into space on August 11, 2018. First mission to touch the Sun. This is how NASA announced the expedition towards the Sun. But touching a star is not an easy task. The Sun is a huge ball of plasma that generates powerful magnetic fields and can unleash a deadly blast of particles in the blink of an eye. The probe is the size of a small car and weighs just over 600 kilograms. The mission was planned to last 7 years. During this time, the probe will orbit our star 24 times. The mission is named after astrophysicist Eugene Parker. The spacecraft collected the latest data from just 8.3 million kilometers from the Sun. But during its closest approach it will be even closer. At a distance of 6.4 million kilometers from our star. There is a risk that the closest approach will coincide with an upcoming solar maximum. And then the Sun may be so active that the data may be too chaotic to determine anything. Understanding how the solar wind is created will help better predict solar storms, which produce beautiful aurora borealis on Earth but can also wreak havoc on power grids. The collected data provide new information about the solar wind and the processes that drive it. Coronal holes, discovered in the 1950s, are darker areas in the solar atmosphere associated with high-speed solar wind, the so-called fast solar wind. The solar wind, a stream of charged protons, electrons and alpha particles, can be divided into two broad categories: fast and slow. The fast solar wind escapes from these holes in the solar atmosphere and can travel at a maximum speed of 800 kilometers per second, twice the maximum speed of the slow solar wind, which is estimated to be around 300 to 500 kilometers per second. Heliophysicists have long wondered what makes one type of solar wind nearly twice as fast as another. Winds carry a lot of information from the Sun to Earth. So understanding the mechanism behind the solar wind is important for practical reasons on Earth. This will impact our ability to understand how the Sun releases energy and drives geomagnetic storms that pose a threat to our communications and energy networks, Drake said. Based on the team's analysis, coronal holes have a funnel-like shape with a diameter of up to 30,000 kilometers. At its base, magnetic field lines flow in and out of the star's surface. They can loop and return to the star, or they can be directed into space. Scientists argue that this is a very dynamic environment, and when opposing magnetic fields meet in these funnels, they often break and reconnect. It is this sudden event that accelerates solar wind particles. Heliophysicists have long wondered what makes one type of solar wind nearly twice as fast as another. Winds carry a lot of information from the Sun to Earth, so understanding the mechanism behind the solar wind is important for practical reasons on Earth. This will impact our ability to understand how the Sun releases energy and drives geomagnetic storms that pose a threat to our communications and energy networks, Drake said. Based on the team's analysis, coronal holes have a funnel-like shape with a diameter of up to 30,000 kilometers. At its base, magnetic field lines flow in and out of the star's surface. They can loop and return to the star, or they can be directed into space. Scientists argue that this is a very dynamic environment, and when opposing magnetic fields meet in these funnels, they often break and reconnect. It is this sudden event that accelerates solar wind particles. New research shows that hemp comes from China and was domesticated 12,000 years ago. Cannabis was first domesticated around 12,000 years ago. In China, scientists report after analyzing plant genomes from around the world. The authors of the study, which appeared in the journal Science Advances, said they identified the time and place of cannabis domestication, patterns of post-domestication divergence, and present-day genetic diversity. We show that hemp, Cannabis sativa, editor's note, was first domesticated in early Neolithic times in East Asia, and that all current varieties diverged from the ancestral gene pool now represented by wild plants and breeds in China, they wrote in the publication. Hemp has been used for millennia for textile production and for its medicinal and recreational properties. Previous research suggested that hemp originated on the Tibetan Plateau. Although the earliest archaeological evidence for the use of hemp string comes from northern China, it is assumed that this plant probably has its roots somewhere in Asia. But pinpointing its place of birth turned out to be quite a challenge. This is largely due to the fact that the wild progenitor of hemp is extinct and cannot be directly studied. A number of varieties have taken its place, but those from northwestern China are most similar to the original cannabis variety, researchers believe. to reconstruct the plant's history. The study authors analyzed the genomes of 110 different cannabis varieties from around the world. Together, they covered the entire spectrum of wild plants, land races, historic varieties and modern hybrids. After analyzing the genetic relationships between all of these plants, scientists noticed that every modern cannabis strain appears to have its roots in Chinese varieties from 12,000 years ago. It is from this region that these plants spread throughout the world. The evolution of the cannabis genome suggests that the plant has been cultivated for universal use for several millennia. Current hemp varieties are believed to come from selective cultures that began around 4,000 years ago, optimized for fiber or cannabinoid production. Selection has produced tall, unbranched plants with stems rich in cellulose, suitable for producing fibers for ropes and textiles. Selective breeding also produced smaller varieties with more flowers, maximizing resin production. Research has revealed that the first domesticated ancestors of modern cannabis plants diverged from a wild ancestor around 12,000 years ago, which indicates that the species was already domesticated in early Neolithic times. Since then, intensive human breeding has resulted in the emergence of several distinct groups. The mystery of the fall of the Hopewell People is a cosmic catastrophe responsible for the extinction. Around 100 BC, the Hopewell culture emerged in the eastern United States. After 600 years of domination, for reasons still unexplained, this civilization ceased to exist. Scientists mentioned wars and climate change among the possible causes of the collapse. But now they have a new suspect. A comet more than 1,500 years ago, the eastern United States was occupied by a pre-Columbian culture called Hopewell. For reasons that have not yet been explained, this culture collapsed. For years, scientists believed that war or climate change were responsible for Hopewell's demise. But scientists from the University of Cincinnati found evidence for a different explanation of the mystery. At 11 archaeological sites related to the activities of the inhabitants of the Hopewell culture, located in 3 different U.S. states, Ohio, Michigan and Pennsylvania. Researchers found unusual concentrations of iridium and platinum, characteristic traces of meteorite fragments. Additionally, the layer of charcoal in the sediment suggests an intense period of high temperatures. All this indicates that the collapse of the Hopewell culture may have been caused by a space rock that destroyed the areas occupied by representatives of the culture. The results of the new research were published in the journal, Scientific Reports. Scientists' new hypothesis is this: between 252 to 383 AD, a comet passed over the eastern United States. fragments of which struck in many places, causing extensive destruction. At 11 archaeological sites once inhabited by people of the Hopewell culture. Scientists found rare metals such as iridium and platinum, as well as fragments of ironstone meteorites called pallasites. A layer of charcoal was also found in these places, indicating that the Earth had been exposed to high temperatures. Scientists point out that the traces they found are of chemical fingerprint. Space events such as asteroids and comet explosions leave behind large amounts of a rare element known as platinum. The problem is that platinum also occurs after volcanic eruptions. Therefore, we are also looking for another rare element associated with extraterrestrial events, iridium. In these cases, we found both platinum and iridium, says Kenneth Tankersley from the University of Cincinnati in Ohio. According to the authors of the publication, the traces they found are strong evidence that the area they studied experienced a catastrophe from space. No crater was found, and the area of concentration of platinum and iridium and traces of ancient fires cover a huge area, which is why scientists believe that the comet did not hit Earth, but exploded in the atmosphere or brushed the Earth's atmosphere as it passed by and bounced back into space. The explosions in the atmosphere caused by it and the fragments of the comet that fell to the surface caused huge fires that could burn even over 23,000 years. Square kilometers. Scientists dated the charcoal layers using the radiocarbon method. They estimate that the event occurred between 252 and 383 AD. Historical records made by Chinese astronomers show that 69 near-Earth comets have been documented during this period. According to the authors of the study, most of the inhabitants of the Hopewell culture survived the cosmic catastrophe, but the resulting fires destroyed villages and the surrounding landscape, probably leading to the decline of agriculture. But stories about the comet persisted among members of various tribes descended from the Hopewell culture. In the stories of the Iroquois and Algonquins, you can find references to a strange catastrophe when fire fell from the sky to the earth. What's fascinating is that many different tribes have similar stories about this event, explains Tankersley. The Miami tribe tells of a horned serpent that flew through the sky and dropped stones on land before falling into the river. The Shawnees, in turn, refer to a celestial panther that had the power to destroy forests. Members of the Ottawa tribe talk about the day the sun fell from the sky, adds Tankersley. There are other clues that seem to support the researchers' idea. Meteorite fragments have been found in jewelry and musical instruments left over from the Hopewell culture. Its representatives also built a comet-shaped earth mound near the epicenter of the meteor shower. What is the optimal length of sleep? Scientists have determined how much sleep middle-aged and older people should sleep. We spend 1/3 of our lives in bed. Not without reason. Sleep is related to a number of cognitive and physiological processes taking place in the body, and deficiency, and sometimes too much, can have undesirable health consequences. As we age, we may experience changes in our sleep patterns, and knowing how much sleep is optimal for healthy functioning becomes important. In a new analysis, researchers determined that 7 hours is the ideal amount of sleep for middle-aged and older people. Sleep plays an important role in maintaining good mental health and cognitive function. It also helps maintain a healthy brain by eliminating waste products. However, as we age, we often see changes in our sleep patterns, including difficulty falling asleep, shorter sleep, and poorer sleep quality. This may be associated with poorer cognitive performance and poorer mental health, including anxiety and depression. In a new study published in Nature Aging, scientists from the University of Cambridge and Fudan University in China determined how much sleep a middle-aged person needs to maintain good health. To do this, they analyzed data from the British Biobank collected from almost 500,000 adults aged 38 to 73. Participants were asked about their sleep patterns, mental health and well-being, and took part in a series of cognitive tests. Brain imaging and genetic data were available for nearly 40,000 people. Study participants. Analyzing the data, the researchers concluded that both sleep deprivation and excess sleep were associated with impairments in cognitive functions such as processing speed, visual attention, memory and problem-solving skills. 7 hours of sleep per night was the optimal amount of sleep for cognitive performance, but also for good mental health for middle-aged and older people. Interestingly, study participants reported anxiety, depression and generally feeling worse when they slept too much or too little. Participants who slept about 7 hours a night without major disruptions to their daily sleep patterns for longer periods of time had better cognitive performance and improved mental health and overall well-being. More or less sleep seemed to be associated with cognitive impairment. Scientists say that one possible reason for the link between insufficient sleep and cognitive decline may be a disruption of the so-called slow-wave sleep, i.e. deep sleep, which is responsible for the body's regeneration. It has been shown that disruption of this phase of sleep is closely related to memory consolidation, as well as the accumulation of amyloid, a key protein in the brain characteristic of some forms of dementia. Additionally, lack of sleep can make it harder for the brain to get rid of toxins. The study authors also found a relationship between the amount of sleep and changes in the volume of key brain areas involved in cognitive processing and memory. They speculate that changes in brain volume and other genetic mechanisms may underlie cognitive and mental health changes in people who have had varying amounts of sleep over long periods of time. Getting a consistent 7-hour sleep each night, without too much disruption, was also important for cognitive performance and good mental health and well-being. Previous research has shown that interrupted sleep can increase inflammation in the body, indicating that older people are more susceptible to age-related diseases. While we cannot conclusively say that too little or too much sleep causes cognitive problems, our analysis, by looking at participants over a longer period of time, appears to support the concept. However, the reasons why older people have poorer sleep appear to be complex, influenced by a combination of our genes and brain structure, said Professor Jianfeng Feng of Fudan University in China. The findings suggest that insufficient or too much sleep may be a risk factor for cognitive decline as we age. This is confirmed by previous studies that have shown a relationship between sleep duration and the risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and dementia, in which deterioration of cognitive functions is a characteristic symptom. Good sleep is important at every stage of life, but especially as the aging process progresses. Finding ways to improve sleep for older people could be crucial to helping them maintain good mental health and well-being and avoid cognitive decline, particularly for patients with mental health conditions and dementia, said Professor Barbara Sahakian from the University of Cambridge's Department of Psychiatry, one of the authors of the study.